Oh, good morning. Welcome back to Planet Doug Behind the Scenes for Thursday, December 8th. It's about 11 o'clock in the morning, and I've taken the behind the scenes experience on the road this morning because I've woken up with a couple of errands to run. One of them is a good errand, one of them is a very bad errand, and I don't know, they could all turn out to be very bad errands. We'll see how it goes. In the last behind the scenes video, I was talking a lot about trying to mount the 360 camera and the GoPro on my bike, and I'm having trouble doing it. Just the way my handlebars are designed and the way they're all put together. There isn't space there to mount anything. And I've been trying with all the various adapters and mounts, and I don't know what the heck's going on here. Oh, these cars, they all slow down like they're going to stop somewhere. But then as soon as you start to move, they suddenly pick up speed. I don't know what any of these people are doing. Anyway, there goes another one, just sort of wandering around. I definitely should not be out in the world this morning. I'm not prepared for it, I don't think. But I don't have a choice, I have things to do. But in that video, talking about mounting cameras, one thing I mentioned is that I have this claw mount. This thing here that comes with the Insta360 motorcycle bundle. And the problem with it, in my situation, is that it has this claw on one end, but a GoPro finger mount on the other. And what I need is something with a claw on both sides. Claw here and a claw here. And then I can attach this to the bike, and I can attach the other claw to a Insta360 invisible selfie stick. And I think that would work quite well. And during that video, I was saying that there was probably something I could do. I might have like a Eureka moment, some kind of a solution just staring me right in the face. And I woke up this morning with kind of a Eureka moment. Call it half a Eureka. And that is this idea that, well, I've got one of these things that has a... Boy, having a heck of a time finding my way. It's funny, I saw a newspaper article this morning about the police cracking down on traffic in Kuala Lumpur. You know, illegal parking and giving out a lot of tickets. And when you're out walking around in these tighter neighborhoods with all these narrow streets, yeah, I mean, people are sort of parked everywhere, and it's hard to even walk sometimes with all the vehicles. Just like all around me right now, for example. I mean, here's a dump truck, basically. Construction vehicle. It looks like a recycling container. And they're basically just parked right on the sidewalk, taking up part of the road and the entire sidewalk. You've got all these cars here. I don't think these are parking spots. I've often tried walking along here, and if there's a market, they have cars parked all the way to the fence, and you can't even walk along the river of life because the cars will they'll park right up against the fence and have two more behind it, and you can't even walk along the river anymore because there's so many cars parked there. Yeah, look at all these, it's just a jumble. Makes it difficult to drive and even difficult to walk. But of course I have sympathy for drivers. They're out here trying to live their lives, run their errands, and they need to park, and probably they're out driving around. So I'm trying to get past this truck, but I guess he's dropping off another of these recycling bins. Maybe. But anyway, I'm sure these cars here are parked illegally. They're parked on the sidewalk. But again, you know, they don't have a choice where, you know, there's probably nowhere else to park. I don't know. Seems like it's difficult in KL to be a driver and a pedestrian. Anyway, what I was saying is that I had half a Eureka moment in that half of this is correct. I've got a claw mount on one half, but the wrong mount on the other half. But if I buy a second one, I can take the claw mount off the other one and put it on here. And now I'll have a claw mount on both ends. So I'm heading out to investigate the possibility of buying an Insta360 motorcycle bundle, get another one of these, and then I will cannibalize it for parts and add that part to here, and then I'll have a claw on both sides. So yeah, I have to go to the other side to get into the right side of this LRT station. And so that is a Eureka moment, but it's really half a Eureka moment because it involves spending more money, buying more stuff in order to mount the stuff I already have. So that's not a great solution, but it's the only solution I can come up with right now. And I was doing some investigating to see who might sell this motorcycle bundle, and that's also a bit tricky because you can, I've done this in the past, you know, you go to YL Camera or any other camera store, you go to their website and they have all this gear listed there, and then you think, well, there it is on their website, it gives it a price, you can add it to your shopping cart, looks like you can buy it from them, so you think they must have it, but then you go there and they just say no stock. It'll be on their website, but they won't actually have it. So I'm just going to go to YL Camera in Pudu and see if they actually have this thing for sale or not. And I'm nervous about that because they may not have it. It'll just be a wasted trip. And going to YL Camera is always kind of risky. Customer service there is, it ranges, you know. You can have a good experience, you can have a very bad experience. You just never know what's going to happen there. They have a reputation at YL Camera. So anyway, that's where I'm heading to. The other errand I'm running is very much a bad one because this morning, for the first time for this behind-the-scenes video, for the first time I was going to use my brand new Rode Wireless Go 2, the new Rode system that I bought recently. Got to stop for a minute here, get out my touch and go card to get into the subway system. And here at Masjid Jamek, you really have to stop for a minute and think about where you're going. So it's probably the most complicated LRT, MRT interchange in the city. It's very easy to go to the wrong train, and then when you get to the right train, it's easy to get to the wrong platform. So you gotta work the system, go very slowly, and think about where you're going at every stage. I think I'm at the right place. But yeah, I was going to use my brand new Rode Wireless Go 2 microphone system this morning. I checked it out before. I've been doing research, trying to figure out how to use it, all the new settings. Oh, look at that. My train is here right now. So I hope this is the right train. Oh, I keep forgetting about the mask on the MRT system. It's the one place where you still always have to wear one. And I forget. Yeah, nowhere else like requires a mask 100% of the time anymore. Even 7-Elevens and places like that, you can just go in without a mask. This is the one remaining holdout, the subway system. Let's see if I'm on the right train. Yeah. I'm heading in the right direction. Anyway, finally getting around to the story. The bad story. I was going to use the new Rode Wireless Go 2 for the first time, and it won't turn on. It has like a power button, and when you depress the power button, you get a click, like a little bit of a click, and then you hold it for like whatever, quarter second, and then the microphone turns on. And the button won't go in, like it won't depress. It's just jammed in place or something. I can't turn the microphone I can turn on, but the receiver I can't turn on. Like that button just isn't reacting. It isn't working at all. It's just jammed into the body or something, or it's stuck there. So I've got to go back to the store where I bought it and show it to them, and then see what they can do. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that experience. This is something I've commented on before. I didn't realize it was such an unusual thing, but in Canada, the United States, returning items that you bought is very straightforward. The shopping culture there just evolved in such a way that, you just buy something, take it home, try it out. If you don't like it, you just bring it back and you get your money back. You don't even have to have a reason. You can just say you don't like it, and they will just give you your money back, and the store will accept it. And I just grew up thinking that was normal, that's how it worked everywhere in the world. But that's until I started going to other places in the world. And here in Malaysia, of course, once you buy something, give them your money. You're not getting your money back no matter what. It's just not how it works here. And even returning what could be a defective product, I'm not really sure how that's going to work out. So, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty disappointing. I'm using my original Rode right now, the simple one, just one microphone, one receiver, and even it has caused problems in the past because the button doesn't always respond. Like you press in the power button and nothing happens, and you actually have to kind of wiggle it around and move it to the left or to the right in order for it to make a connection, and then the microphone will respond. So there's something wrong with the button system, I find. On my original Rode and on this brand new Rode, the button doesn't work at all. I mean, you can't even push it in. It's just, it feels solid. Like it doesn't click. There's no depression at all. So, we'll see what happens when I get there. I've arrived at Pudu Station. Short walk from here to get to the shopping mall where YL Camera is located. I had a funny experience on the way here. I was going through sort of a park, little open square area on my way to Masjid Jamek, and I noticed a film crew there. I saw them out of the corner of my eye, and then as I went by, a young woman came running up to me and said, would you mind, can we, we're doing this story, do you mind us interviewing you on camera? And then she said, all you have to do is say, I love Ma. I love Ma, is what you wanted me to say on camera. And, I gotta go through here. Give me a second and dig out my touch and go card once again. And the woman was a little bit taken aback when I said I would rather not do it, because she pointed to my GoPro and said, "Well, like really, you don't want to do it? You're like, we came up to you because you're going by with a camera, speaking on camera. You're probably on YouTube, so we thought you'd be comfortable in front of a camera." And says, "Yeah, well, on YouTube, it's my video and I can control the situation." I've had a history with this where I've been interviewed by TV stations in the past, or newspapers, and on camera, and it always ended up badly. They're looking for a certain story. They talk to you for a long time, and then they cut out the bits and pieces that fit the story they're trying to tell, and they pretty much ignore everything you said, and you end up looking. You may end up looking okay, but there's a real risk you'll end up looking ridiculous or look like you're saying something that is terrible. You just don't know, So anyway, I have a bit of a rule that when I'm approached in public by a TV crew, I just say no. I'd rather not do it. They can find people to do it. They don't need me, so I generally say no. I'd rather not. And but then later on, as I was walking away, I started thinking about it. I just assumed Ma was some kind of a politician. Like, I love Ma, like a political party, a politician. Somehow the name Ma rings a bell with me. Feels like There was an election where I heard a lot about somebody named Ma, and maybe that was in Malaysia, maybe it was in another country. Anyway, I just assumed it was to do with politics, and I don't want to be on camera saying I love Ma when I have no idea who Ma is. But then it occurred to me that maybe they meant Malaysia, because I'm seeing this, like there's a new tourism slogan going around with just MA, like I heart MA. I've seen that, and I did a Google search. I typed I love Ma into Google, and all of this I love Malaysia stuff came up. So that's probably what they were doing. They were just doing a simple Malaysian tourism story, and they're just out there, you know, their editors, their managers, their producers, whoever they are, told them to go out on the street, find a bunch of foreign tourists, and get them to say I love Ma on camera, and they'll string all of that together and make a nice little tourism promotion story. And I would have been fine with that, but as I said, I thought she was asking me about a politician. I didn't know that it was probably about Malaysian tourism. So that was pretty funny. I'm up on the pedestrian bridge that brings me into Pudu. Yeah, there's something about this early morning traffic and noise is getting to me this morning. I don't know what it is. I'm not feeling quite ready for it. I think it was my microphone failing. Just kind of got the whole day off on the wrong foot. I was so excited about using the microphone for the first time, and I was doing some research this morning because this is a more complicated microphone than the original, and I don't understand the settings. On the receiver, you can set it to split mode or merge mode, and I think I understand the differences between them, and yet when they describe them, their description of them is different from my understanding. So I don't really know when to use merge and when to use split. I don't quite understand it. So I was doing that research this morning, and I thought, well, let's do a little bit of an experiment. Let's use the microphone. I'll put it on the camera in split mode, record something, and then I'll put it on, you know, I'll put it into a merge mode, record the exact same video clip, and then when I edit it later on, I can see what the difference is in terms of the audio that it recorded. And that was my plan this morning. That was on my to-do list, and here I am. As I said, items on a to-do list tend to multiply by themselves, because instead of learning how to use the microphone, I have to go back to the store and try and get it fixed or replaced with a new one. So that's another chunk of time down the drain in a way, in terms of making progress. And that story is continuing, by the way. In the last video, I was talking about how I changed my plans. I originally was going to go to Malacca, spend 4 days in Malacca before taking the ferry. But I changed my mind. I'm not going to spend time in Malacca. I just don't have the time to spare. And then I started looking into Port Dickson as a departure point, because Port Dickson is kind of just outside of Kuala Lumpur, about 92 kilometers away on the coast if you drive there, or walk, 92 kilometers either way. And yeah, maybe I'll finish up that story a bit later, because I've arrived at the shopping mall where YL is located. That's it here. I never knew the name of it, Pasar Raya. So Raya, I think Pasar means market, Raya market building. And there's the Hotel Pudu Plaza, and ICC, the market building, is just up there on the right-hand side. So I've been here a few times recently, going to that the ICC market. Anyway, I will talk about all my plans for getting to Sumatra by ferry once I come out of the mall and after I check out YL camera. All right, that errand is done. Yeah, I'm not entirely thrilled with it. But if you buy something new, you can walk out of a store with a feeling of excitement that, oh, this great new thing I have is going to be so much fun. But I don't have any of that to fall back on because, yeah, it's really just more stuff that I need in order to make stuff I have now work. So it's not exactly a sort of purchase to lead to excitement. And YL camera, I mean, on the positive side, they had the object I was looking for. It was on their website, so it looked like they sold it and they had it in stock. And when I showed up there, they did have it, so that's points in their favor. Speaking of parking, you've got all these guys here, you know, double parking all over the place, which makes the road narrower and narrower. Yeah, it's a very interesting area to walk around in, Pudu, an older, more traditional part of KL. And the roads can get pretty crazy. You gotta watch where you're going. Yeah, like look at this street. I mean, they do have parking on each side, but then this entire lane is completely filled with double parked vehicles, cars, and delivery trucks, which basically narrows the entire, it's a 2-lane street, but it's been narrowed down to one. And you can see 2 cars there running into each other. They can't get past each other because there just isn't enough room. It's crazy. So if those KL cops were out handing out tickets here, they got a whole bunch of victims waiting for them. They could ticket all of these cars. All of them. Yeah, look at those poor guys at the end. They're all stuck. But as I've noted a number of times in the past, I'm always impressed at how calm drivers are in Kuala Lumpur and Malaysia in general. You get situations like that. Nobody was on the horn. Nobody was getting out of their car to punch anybody in the face. Nobody was, you know, no road rage. Everyone just sort of, they run into these situations and they're like, well, this is what we have to deal with. So I'll wait until you get out of the way and then I'll move forward and you can get past, and they just work it out. But I suppose on the negative side, I say I have sympathy for the drivers, but at the same time, I think a lot of it is just coming from wanting to save money, of course, because here is a parking lot, you know, car parking. You can park in there and it's pretty much empty because nobody's willing to pay for parking. Instead, they just park all over here, you know, any little spot they can find, they'll park for free, you know, rather than pay for parking. So they kind of bring it on themselves from that point of view. All right, here's my pedestrian bridge. The Planet Doug customer service review of my experience, very much negative. I would give that the clerk that served me at YL Camera, if he was working at the Planet Doug camera store, for that customer service, I'd fire him today. I wouldn't have hired him to begin with, and I'd let him go. He would not be up to my standards. I mean, he had 2 main problems. One, the entire time that he was helping me, he just looked at his phone. He was on his phone, staring at his phone the whole time. And then I was asking him questions, and then he was sort of half listening. Most of his attention was on his phone. I don't know what he was doing. And then he would speak to me, but never make eye contact, never look at me. He just looked at his phone the entire time that he was walking around. And he was doing this, he was snorting up phlegm in his nose the entire time. You know, just like, I guess he's got a bad cold or something. And he was just making this horrific snorting sound, sucking up all this phlegm, and it was just disgusting. So a very negative experience dealing with him. And for YL in general, you go to their website, you can see this object, the motorcycle bundle, and on the listing on their website, they show the contents of the bundle. And that's why I came here, because it includes the clamp that I need, and it includes the invisible selfie stick. So you get the clamp and the selfie stick that's included in the motorcycle bundle. And then when they got out their motorcycle bundle, there was no selfie stick. So I said to the guy, well, online on your website, included in the kit is the selfie stick. And, oh boy, I was getting off the sidewalk because this delivery driver was coming right at me on his scooter. But he stopped and he parked right here. Yeah, he was moving fast. I thought he was going to run right into me, but he stopped equally fast. Anyway, I told him, yeah, on your website, the motorcycle bundle includes the selfie stick, and he didn't believe me, and I said, well, call it up. So he called it up on his phone, and you go down to motorcycle bundle, and it shows what's included, and right there on the website, selfie stick is included. And he just, in this case, he was staring at his phone because I asked him to look something up on his phone, and then he saw it, and again, without even looking at me, he just saw, mistake. And then he just moved on, just, oh, that's a mistake. So, yeah, as a customer, what are you going to do? Poor customer service, very unfriendly, unhelpful. And I'm pretty sure that now that I've pointed out the mistake on their website, that guy, that clerk, now that I've left the store, it's not like he's contacting their website hosting or whoever maintains their website and tells them, oh, a customer pointed out an error on one of our listings. Could you remove the selfie stick from our motorcycle bundle listing? No, he's definitely not doing that. That mistake will remain on their website forever, and no one will ever fix it. I'm very, very sure of that. So I would give them very much a failing grade, with one bonus point that they actually had the object I was looking for in stock. So that was the only good thing about this experience. The last time I was here in Pudu, at the Pudu LRT station, I noticed a large construction zone running alongside the tracks. Shot some video of all the construction going on, and it looks like they've made a lot of progress. Like, the first part of construction always goes really fast. A few summers in Canada, I did a bit of carpentry. I wouldn't call it carpentry. I was never that skilled, but house framing. And I noticed that throwing up the frame of the house, the walls and the roof, the basic structure, that happens very fast. And it's a very satisfying feeling because you can see it, boom, 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 rise really quickly. But then it feels like it reaches a plateau and the construction stalls, because then you've got a long period of the rest of the work. Building the frame was the easy, fast part, but then all of the interior, the walls, the plumbing, the plaster, the wiring, all of that goes on and on and on for a very long time. But anyway, I have seen some progress here, but I noticed I was never down on the ground level before. And as I'm walking along on ground level, I notice these large signs advertising this place. So you've got multi-purpose hall at level 9. And then look at this, Sky Barbecue Terrace at level 47. So this is going to be a major building. I just thought it was very like low-rise apartment buildings, but it looks like it's going to be a modern, you know, skyscraper kind of deal, going up to at least 47 floors. That's pretty high. SkylineKL.com. There you go, a jogging track at level 9 with some very happy people here. They're so delighted with their lives and the fact that their building has a jogging track. And from here, you can savor the stunning views of the city. Yeah, I'm going up to, I guess, 47 floors high, maybe higher than that. But once I get up onto the platform, you can see some more of the construction. Before I went into YL, I was talking about my plans to take the ferry to Sumatra. And I'd contacted the Indomal Fast Ferry Company on a WhatsApp number in Malacca. But then I wanted to find out about the possibilities going from Port Dickson. And it turns out that the people I was talking to, that was strictly the Malacca office, and they didn't have any information about Port Dickson. So they gave me the phone number for Port Dickson. And at first I was a bit kind of like, oh no, I couldn't face it because I didn't want to call a phone number. But then when I just clicked on it, I got a pop-up menu that said, well, you can call this number, or it's also a WhatsApp number. So you can contact them through their WhatsApp page. So I thought, yes. So I was able to add Indomall Fast Ferries Port Dickson to my WhatsApp account. And then I was able to send them a message and ask them my questions about, you know, what days the ferry goes, what time it goes, how do I buy a ticket. And they also replied to me. So very good customer service from Indomall. They would get a passing grade from Planet Doug. They have been very helpful, very responsive to my messages and my questions. I just passed through the turnstiles to get into the LRT system. And here's the construction progress that I was talking about. You know, some walls are going up, putting the foundation in place and starting to put up some walls. But none of this looks like a 47-story skyscraper to me. They really just look like apartment buildings. You know, I thought they were building more apartment buildings like those yellow ones in the background. But I guess it's a much larger operation than that. So the Indomall ferry people in Port Dickson, they replied, gave me all the information, and they have a ferry runs every day except Sunday, I think. One day a week they don't run, and they have one ferry per day, leaves at 11 a.m. And they're working on an online ticketing system, but it's not up and running yet. So the only way to buy a ticket is to go to their offices in Port Dickson, go to the docks, buy your ticket there. And they said, it's no problem, you can just show up and get your ticket on the day you want to go. I'll probably try and do it in advance. And I can reserve a seat in advance. I just have to take a picture of my passport, send it to them on WhatsApp with my name and information and the date that I want to go. And they will reserve a seat for me, issue me a ticket number. And then when I show up, I show them my ticket number. And then I just pay for the ticket when I get there. So that's probably what I'll do once I decide what day I'm going. And my only other question was about whether or not I can take a bicycle on the ferry. And as I talked about in the other video, I don't really want to ask them outright, like, can I take a bicycle? Because I'm worried they'll say no. And in my experience, people do say no to almost everything when you ask them. They just don't really want to get in trouble or something. So they'll just, the instinct is to say no to whatever it is. So I think it's better to just go there on my bike, show up, and once I'm there, then chances are I'll be able to put it on the boat, because I've done it in the past. I think it'll be okay. Oh, once again, I forgot about my mask. Every single time I forget. I don't know what that was all about. Yeah, the speaker behind me is blown. It's all distorted. But yeah, got my mask on for the LRT. But my one last detail I wanted to figure out was who has the bigger boats, like to maximize the chances that putting my bicycle on the boat will be okay. I want to go to either Malacca or Port Dickson, depending on who has the biggest boat. So I sent them a final message to both Malacca and Port Dickson to ask them if there's a difference. Are some of the boats bigger or smaller than the others? I didn't say why I wanted to know, I just asked them. And from Malacca, I got a message saying that all the boats were the same. But from Port Dickson, I got a message saying that their boats... Station oh, speaker wasn't blown, it was just that recorded message was way too loud or something. from Port Dickson, they said that their boats were bigger. They can seat 350 people. So that's much bigger than the boats out of Malacca. So that kind of decides it for me that I will try to take a ferry out of Port Dickson. So that's where my plans are right now. So where am I? Oh, I'm at Hung Thua. I think my next errand, I almost missed this because I wasn't thinking about it. My next errand is from here because I have to go to Alltech Camera. That's where I bought the Rode Wireless Go. So I have to go there to show them that it's not working. I'm really nervous about this as well. We'll see what happens. Yeah, Alltech is located on the 6th floor of Berjaya Times Square. And I can get there from Hung Thua on this line. A little bit of a walk from here to get to Berjaya Times Square, but this is the most convenient way to get there from here. And between here and there is a new shopping complex called Lala Port, which I've never gone into, so maybe on this errand run I'll see if I can go through the mall. I did this once before and I just walked down the street. I didn't try to go into the mall at all. But yeah, since I'm heading this way anyway, because I noticed there were these large escalators that go somewhere, and I'm not quite sure where they take you. So yeah, I'm gonna find out. So this is the entrance at street level to Hung Thua. And that's where I went last time. I just exited and then walked down the street. But there are these escalators here that seem to go to Bukit Bintang City Center and also to the monorail. So I'm gonna go this way this time, see where it takes me. So the longer that I'm in the MRT system, the longer I have to have this on. And I think when I was in Mesot, you had to wear a mask pretty much all the time, even out in public. And I just got used to it. But since now that the pandemic era is kind of winding down, and I'm wearing a mask less and less, now when I wear them, I find them really annoying. I'm not used to it anymore. So, okay. Oh, look at that. Huh. So yeah, it's a really easy connection. Look at that. This is the stairway that goes right up to the monorail. So the connection between the monorail and Hung Thua, like the LRT down there, is really, really simple. I didn't realize it was that easy. I think they're both called Hung Thua, though. Let's see if I can confirm that. So this is where I was, Pudu, and I only went one stop over to Hung Thua. So yeah, so it's all the same name, whether you're on the LRT or the monorail, whatever you're on, it's all called the same, Hung Thua. Where I want to go is Imbi, so I could take the monorail up to Imbi to go to Berjaya Times Square, but it's not that far. The monorail trains don't run very often. So by the time I'm waiting for the train to arrive, I could have walked there before the train gets here. So I'm going to go this way, this exit, and that seems to take me to the Bukit Bintang City Center. I don't know if that includes Lala Port or not. We shall find out. Yeah, because as I said, I don't know anything about this. All I know is that I saw the Lala Port Mall from the street. I didn't even know that there was such a thing as the Bukit Bintang City Center. So maybe that includes all these things together. Okay. So maybe the whole thing as a whole is not called Lala Port. The whole thing together is the Bukit Bintang city center, and that includes all of these things: Lala Port, the Stride, something called the Malaysia Grand Bazaar, ZEP, Kuala Lumpur, movie theater. And I think it's connected to a big residential complex that they're building. Okay. All right, this is working out well. So I guess everything is down in that direction, and Lala Port is here. I always like to check out signs about rules. Oh, there is a no camera rule. We'll see if anyone enforces that. And there's a no flying drones rule, which is interesting. The more hobbies we develop, the more rules show up saying, well, you can't do any of those things in this place. But I couldn't imagine flying a drone in here. Has anyone tried to do that? All right, so this is Lala Port. Who knows, maybe I can take care of some of my remaining errands while I'm here. And there's a little bit of a, here's the dome, or one of the central domes with all the escalators. And looking in this direction, I'm seeing some Christmas decorations over there, I think. Yeah, pretty nice mall. And I spotted some kind of sport clothing shops over here. I'm just going to look inside. So I spotted this store, and they actually have some sandals right in the window that look reasonable. 200 baht, more or less. 200 baht. See how mixed up my brain is? 200 ringgit. And here's a sport clothing store, but I don't see any sandals anywhere. An FOS store, and I don't see any sandals here. Of course, you have to wonder about the no cameras rule, because every single human being on the planet has a camera with them at all times. If everyone has their smartphone with them, I mean, everyone automatically has a camera, so no cameras doesn't mean a lot these days. It's interesting that shopping malls in Asia kind of keep you up to date in terms of the seasons, because the only way you really know it's Christmas is if you go to the shopping malls, because every shopping mall has a huge Christmas tree display in the front entrance. So that's yeah, it's the malls that have become the center of modern culture, which is kind of interesting. And I have a way of testing the organization of a shopping mall. And what I like to do is ride on the escalator and see if they tell me what floor I'm on when I get to the top of the escalator. Because most shopping malls, they'll tell you the floor you're on at the bottom of the escalator, but then not at the top. And a well-organized mall tells you both bottom and top, but we'll see. All right, let's see what happens. So this is level 1, zone D, but I often get on escalators and I don't look to see what floor I'm on. I don't think of it till I get to the top. And then I look around for a sign, and there's almost never a sign there, but look at that. So far, they're passing the test. They actually have a sign up here that says L2. You are on level 2. Not only that, they even have signs for all the stores that are up here. I like that. And right here, L2, floor L2, more stores ahead. And I noticed this store, Salomon, an outdoors hiking store. Sounds like a place to go for sandals. But where is it? Now open. L329, so up on the next floor. I'm up on level 3 now. Yeah, and look at that crowd down there. I'm assuming they're in line for a movie. Is there like a famous movie opening today and everybody wants to see it on the opening day? Must be. The only movie I can think of that might be opening is like Avatar, Way of the Water. I think it's opening at select theaters in the United States and Canada, maybe here as well. Funny thing is that the sandals I'm wearing now, and the ones I've had for a while, they've all been Adidas sandals. They just happened to be the sandals for sale at Sport Direct when I was there shopping for sandals. So I ended up with these Adidas sandals. And the one feature I like about them is that the strap that goes over your instep is closed with a buckle, not with Velcro. So it's just a lot easier to open and close. You just click the buckle. So I sort of kept my eye open for Adidas stores, thinking, well, I can just buy these Adidas ones that have the buckles. But in all the Adidas outlets that I've been to, not only don't they have sandals with buckles, they don't have any sandals at all. Like Adidas sells only running shoes. I haven't seen a single pair of sandals anywhere. So, and at Sport Direct as well, none of, they don't even sell, well, they do sell Adidas, but none of them have the buckle, which makes me think the ones at Sport Direct, maybe they're knockoffs, maybe they're not genuine Adidas. I have no idea. But anyway, I've got a Skechers I'm going to check out. So I am in a Skechers for the first time in my life, and they do have sandals here. So this is one style they have. I'm not thrilled with them. They're called like hyper pillars, and they have all these like pillars on the bottom. They're just trying to make them stand out. And I don't think that would work very well in the long run. And then they have these ones, which are kind of like walking sandals, very thick soles. But then I found these ones, which are kind of hitting some of the buttons for me. What do they call them? I don't know if they have a fancy name, but look at that. They actually have a buckle. And the upper strap that goes over your instep is nice and wide and soft. The cheaper ones I'm looking at, they have these really harsh instep straps that cut into your flesh. But these are quite expensive for sandals, you know, $279 for my style of sandal. My problem is they tend to wear out so quickly. Everything wears out these days. This feels so soft. And yeah, so for $279, it's a lot of money to pay for sandals that are going to wear out, but I may not have a choice because, yeah, I just can't find them anywhere. I found all the stores I was looking for. There's the Salomon store, kind of they were advertising as an outdoor store. The North Face, Precio, Vans, Brooks. But in all of these stores, 1, 2, 3, 5 of them, no sandals at all. None of them carry any type of sandals, only shoes and kind of hiking boots, but no sandals. Yeah, so I think I have to admit defeat. I kind of joked around with the clerks in there, telling them my story that, you know, the universe generally makes it so that I can never find the one thing I'm looking for. And in Malaysia, I just happened to be looking for sandals. And for some reason, stores in Malaysia just do not sell sandals. They only sell shoes. I've never come across anything like that before. Like, I think looking in shopping malls like this is really just a waste of time because they're all going to be just like the stores I've already seen. And they're not going to carry sandals at all. I didn't realize I'd come up so high. Yeah, I was looking down at all these escalators and yeah, I'm way up in this mall. I had no idea. Right up by the dome. So the only potential sandals were the ones I saw at the very first store, Lavalier or something like that. And they had just one sandal in the window. Maybe I'll go in and take a closer look at that pair. Who knows? Maybe I just wait until I get to Sumatra. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know if the universe has gone on to Indonesia and made sure that everything I need is not in Indonesia either. They've wiped out Malaysia, but maybe the universe hasn't gotten around to Indonesia yet. I can outsmart the universe. Yeah, I can see the store one more level down. Yeah, just wasting my time here. I still have to get to the camera store, and that's the most important errand, is to see what's going on with my Rode microphone. That's the more important thing to do. The other normal part of my experience being out in the world is trouble with bathrooms, and I find that in KL all the time. Every time I try to go to a bathroom in the MRT system, it's always closed for maintenance or cleaning, one or the other. And I just went into the bathrooms here, and the whole thing is blocked off, closed for maintenance. So, and I have to, oh, where am I trying to go? I lost track of okay, Larry is over here. Yeah, I just spotted bathrooms there, so I thought I'd pop into the bathroom, but no, closed. Which does not surprise me. Somehow the universe even knows that. Knows me very well, even if I need a bathroom. It's way ahead of me and makes sure all the bathrooms are closed for cleaning or maintenance. No success at Larry either. The sandals looked weird, but reasonable. Just very simple, basic sandals, all Velcro straps, no buckles, nothing fancy. But they don't have sizes big enough. I need at least a size 10, like a US size. And the biggest they could go was size 9. It was too small. They have nothing bigger than size 9. So, and I think I'm going to stop thinking about sandals now. I've spent enough time on sandal shopping. But yeah, here is the Christmas decorations I was talking about. So that's how you know the holiday season you're in. You have to go to the shopping mall in order to find out. That looks very nice. Well, I've exited Bukit City Center and the Lala Port Mall. Yeah, no sandals to be found anywhere. Now I have to get from here to Berjaya Times Square. It's a little bit complicated, it looks like. I think that's it over there. That's the Berjaya Times Square hotel over there. Luckily, there's this big pedestrian bridge because I got to get across this highway system. And it looks like this bridge will get me across it. But then I end up way over there. So then I'm going to have to make my way back in that direction. But yeah, there it is, Lala Port. That's what it looks like from the outside. Very nondescript sort of building, really, when you look at it. Doesn't look that fancy in terms of the architecture and the design. Just a big cube. And these are the other businesses that I saw. Zepp, Kuala Lumpur, Grand Bazaar. I guess they're going in that building, but maybe it's not finished yet. I have no idea what those places could be. There's like a big skyscraper. I don't even know what building that one is, actually. That big one over there, the really tall, slim one. But anyway, got to get down from the pedestrian bridge, which oddly enough, I don't have a choice. I want to go on that side, but the pedestrian bridge is taking me all the way to that side. But how the heck do I get from there? Look at that. There's no way to get over there. I mean, this is the bridge here. You'd think crossing the bridge, it wouldn't basically take you across one highway system just to put you across on the opposite side of another busy road. But anyway, I guess I'll find a way. Actually, looking down here, you can see there's a trail right there going across the green area. So that's clearly where anyone who comes out of here that wants to go to Berjaya Times Square, they walk across there, and they've developed their own walking path. Yeah, like that guy right now. You see where he's going? That's where I'm going to go. And that's something I've thought about many times in my life, dating back decades, because I came across this idea, I think when I went to university, where there was this idea in architecture and construction where they put the buildings in place, but they don't build any of the sidewalks anywhere. So what they do is they open the university or the hospital complex or whatever it is, just open it and then let people walk around and find their own path from building to building. And as they do so, of course, they cut trails into the grass, and then they let it sit like that for a couple of months, sort of like a human beings as an ant colony. You know, they just let the people roam around, make their own paths, and then whenever they saw a trail like that, that's where they put in the cement sidewalk. So they waited for the people to develop communally their own shortest path, convenient path from building to building, and that's where they put the sidewalks. And it makes a lot of sense when you think about it. Because quite often you see complexes, universities, for example, where they have all these sidewalks that go in rectangular patterns, 90-degree angles everywhere, and yet nobody walks on them because they all cut angles and cut right across on all these shortcuts. And where you see the pathways, that's where they should have put the sidewalks. So I kind of like this idea of not including sidewalks in your design. You just let people roam around, and wherever they carve their own trails, that's where you put the sidewalks later on. Anyway, that's where I want to go. Over there, that's Berjaya Times Square, but I'm way at the back side of it. So I have to head back in this direction and then work my way around to the front. I'm getting my steps in, as people say. I'm here in Berjaya Times Square, up on the 6th floor. This is where all the camera stores are located. And heading towards Alltech and see what they have to say about my Rode microphone. Ooh, I'm nervous. I'll report back after I leave and see whether they managed to fix it or replace it, or they have to send it off for warranty, or who knows. I don't know how it works in Malaysia. Well, that errand is multiplying into more errands, unfortunately, but wheels are in motion. You know how if something you bought or something you own isn't working right, and then you bring it into a shop, when you bring it in, suddenly it starts working again, right? That always happens. In this case, that did not happen. As I said, the receiver wouldn't turn on at all. You're supposed to hold down the power button for 2-3 seconds, and then the microphone receiver powers up, and it just wouldn't do that at all to me. Plus, the button, as the guy here said, had no tactile feeling on the microphone transmitters. There's a click. You push down on the button and it clicks, and you can feel it move up and down. It's got a nice tactile feeling to it. And the power button on the receiver had no movement at all, had no tactile feeling. It was just like a solid piece of rubber. It doesn't go up or down. There's no clicking sensation. And so when I showed it to him, he tried, and exactly the same thing. He says, yeah, there's no tactile sensation at all. So that was looking good. But then from that point, of course, things got a bit wonky, and I was a little bit nervous about how things are going to turn out, because even with my original Rode Wireless Go, like the one that I have now, the one receiver, one microphone unit, right from the very beginning, the buttons never worked quite right. They have a good tactile feeling, but you can press it in, it will click, and then it won't react, like nothing will happen. So what you have to do is kind of take your finger and push it to the side, like hold down the edges and wiggle it a little bit and kind of move it around. And if you do that, then finally you can get it to make contact. That sometimes happens with the Rode that I have now. And as he was testing my new Rode Wireless Go 2, he was doing that. You know, he could feel there was something wrong with the button, but then he, you know, pressed it in, and then he wiggled it around from side to side, and he got the receiver to turn on. He managed to get it to turn on that way. And then he showed it to me. You know, it's like, oh, I managed to turn it on. And I had this feeling like, oh no, like don't try and tell me that now it works because you managed to do all of that and keep wiggling it and finally turn it on. I was worried about that. But he wasn't saying that. But he did say to me, he's like, well, it's because you have really big fingers and my fingers are so small, so I can turn it on. Because you have big fingers, you couldn't do it. So I had the feeling like he was going to try and blame it on my fingers, like that my fingers aren't working right. Oh no, don't do that. But again, he wasn't trying to tell me that. But eventually he came to the conclusion, yeah, this unit is defective. There's a problem with the power button and needs to be fixed or replaced. And it's still under warranty. I just bought it. In fact, I haven't even used it, not one time. I turned it on in my room at the Kojoy just to learn the settings on it. But I've never actually taken it outside and, you know, used it. And this morning was the very first time I was going to put it on the camera and use it. And then the power button thing, it just would not turn on. So yeah, I haven't even used it even once. So it's totally unused, still under warranty. And then we ran into a bit of the difference between the consumer culture in Canada and here, where if I were at a camera store in Canada and they reached the conclusion that the unit needed to be sent back to the dealer, you know, back to Rode, they would just reach up on the shelf, grab me a new one and say, here you go, here's your new one. And then I'd be out the door. But here it doesn't work that way apparently. And it's sort of like dealing with in Las Vegas, you're dealing with the house, so the advantage always goes to the house, the casino always has the advantage. And that's the way it works here too, because he said what he has to do is send it back to the distributor. And then the distributor has to agree to the warranty replacement and send them a new one to replace it, and then they will give it to me. And I said to him, well, like, don't you have a whole bunch of them? Like, they have a whole bunch of them right on the shelf. They're right there. Like, you know, can't you just give me a new one right now? And he said, well, no, they can't do that, because if they send it to the dealer and then the dealer, for example, only wants to replace the receiver but not the whole unit, then if they give me a new one now and then the dealer is only going to replace the receiver, then they are stuck with an open box unit that they'll have trouble selling. It will be brand new, but it will be open box, and they don't want to be in that position, so they won't give me a new one off the shelf. They have to wait to see what the distributor says. And I kind of raised an objection to that a little bit too, because I said, well, if all they do is replace the receiver, how do I know it's a new receiver? Like, if you give me an unopened box, I know it's brand new. But if all they do is give me a new receiver, where did that receiver come from? It had to come out of an open box, right? Because the way he described it, it was like, well, they'll have some microphones and some receivers there that came out of units that other customers returned, and they'll just put that one and give it to you. And I says, well, yeah, exactly. Those are returned units coming from other customers. It's not a new unit. So everything is slanted in the favor of the company, not in the favor of the customer. And basically, there's nothing I can do about that. And of course, right now I have no microphone at all, because they have to send it back to the dealer, wait for the dealer to deal with it, and then they have to contact me to tell me what happened, and then I have to go back, and then, I don't know. Anyway, it's all very unsatisfying. But that's just the way things work, you know? And I note the really strong difference between when you as a customer, when you buy something, and then when the store takes something back, the tone changes dramatically. Like when you're there as a customer to spend money, it's very fast and very casual. It's like, oh, here's your microphone, thank you for your money, and you're out the door. And then I guess as customers, we let them get away with that. But now that I'm there trying to get something from them, I don't know what's going on with the stairs here. Everybody's just standing on the stairs, blocking the way. There we go. Don't know why. But now that this was happening, I mean, they took a long, hard look at everything. They're trying to think of ways to make it my fault, that, you know, I wasn't wiggling the button around long enough, my fingers are too fat, you know, trying to make it my fault, but they didn't really push that argument. But then when it comes to the paperwork, now they had to get out a big official form. They had to write out a whole bunch of stuff. They had to write down the serial number of every single item. They have to go over every item with a magnifying glass, looking for the tiniest mark, the tiniest scratch, you know, make sure that everything is 100% perfect, and everything is written down, you know, very long, complicated document. So anyway, it's a very serious, long process when it goes the other way. You know, when you're a customer just buying something, yeah, they're very quick to take your money, very slow to give you any money back or replace a defective product. But hey, that's the way the world works. And the other day, I was talking a lot about a laundromat that I went to that was a very poorly run business. And I was talking about the difference between business owners and consumers, and how I always thought business owners were really smart, super intelligent, hardworking people, and I could never run a business because I don't know how you do anything like that. But then the other side of it is, I think, to run a successful business, you just have to be a tough person. You just have to be focused on money. You're not there to make other people happy. You're there to make money. So you have to be tough to run a business. And that's why I could never run a business. If a customer comes in, they bought something, and it's defective and it's not working, I'm just handing them a new one. So, oh, I'm very sorry, sir. Here you are. Here's your new one out the door. And I guess my business would quickly go out of business because I would be too nice to customers. I'm just not tough enough. So I guess that is where this behind-the-scenes adventure is going to draw to a close. I'm back out in the world. It's almost 2:30 in the afternoon now. Man, whew, another long day of just running errands, trying to get things done. And I talked before about how one errand leads to another errand, leads to another, leads to another. And by the end of the day, I've been out wandering around all day long, and it feels like I haven't gotten anything done at all. And in this case, in terms of the microphone, yeah, I really haven't gotten anything done because I don't have any microphone at all now, and I have to wait to hear what the dealer, what the distributor says, and then they have to call me, and then I have to come all the way back here again and do this all over again. Interestingly enough, the only reason I was even able to get this far is because I was very careful to save all of the packaging. Since I'm getting ready to go to Sumatra, I was that close to throwing away like the box for the Rode Wireless Go microphone because I didn't need it anymore. I've got all these empty boxes in my room, and you know, I'm cleaning up my room and getting organized, and I was that close to just yeah, cleaning up, getting organized, and throwing away the boxes. But if I didn't have the boxes, I wouldn't be able to return it at all. You have to have all the original packaging or they won't accept it at all, not even for a warranty return. So yeah, you have to do that too. You know, you have to hold on to the box for as long as possible, which luckily I did in this case. But anyway, that is it. I'm exhausted and I'm hungry now, so time to go get some lunch, and I'll shut down my video about these behind the scenes adventures for today. That's it, and see you in the next video.